Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of our shooting show, and we certainly want to welcome everyone to today's program. If you're seeing us on the air, well, guess what? We're still on. So we are indeed glad to be here. You know what, friends? The reason that our program is so dangerous to the anti-gun people is because we educate whoever will take the time to listen about how guns should properly be handled, how they should be used, and certainly about the responsibility that goes along with firearms, personally owned firearms. You know, there are those that say that, including the current stance of the United States Department of Justice, that we as citizens do not have the right to own guns. Well, that is a Marxist, a socialist ideal which has been put forth by people like the Clintons, by people like Janet Reno, like people in like Senator Kennedy, like how many others you want to talk about that occupy positions of power in our country and do not believe that we as citizens have the right to own these guns. Well, you know what? When you go back and read the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, when it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What part of shall not be infringed is unclear. The right of the people. You know, when it talked about militia was just the organization, was the instructions to drill and how to form up and line up, had nothing to do, when it talks about militia, it had nothing to do with weaponry. You know, it was accepted that the people would already have the weapons. They'd already have rifles and handguns, whatever. It was accepted that they would already have their weapons. So reference to militia was just about drilling, about who was going to be in charge of the unit, whatever else. And the militia is not the National Guard. There wasn't anything like a National Guard when our country had its revolution against England. Didn't exist. There was nothing like that. So what these people are doing is trying to change the language to try and change what we as Americans have as liberties, as freedoms that were granted not by our founding fathers but by the Creator himself. Now friends, that's what it's about, and that's what they're trying to do. And you know what? As long as we conservatives decide not to get involved, you know, I've been talking to a number of other conservative radio networks, other conservatives on television, and you know what? We conservatives, including this project here, are having a very tough time staying on the air when we reach who knows how many people. Literally, we reach millions of households out there. But our good conservatives are conservative not only in their thinking, not only about their gun ownership, but they're conservative right here. Right here. And friends, this is where we get the ammunition. This billfold, that checkbook, is where we get the ammunition to stay on the air. And you know, we want to thank everyone who's contributed to this project, but we are very, very close. Like I said, if you're seeing us today, that means we're still on. And we have fought it along with some of your help all this time. This is our 7th year. Come December or January, come January actually, we'll start our 8th year on the air if we can get there. So friends, please, if you want to see our cause as gun ownership, or gun owners for gun ownership, if you want to see this continue on television, and we have some things that if we just had the operating capital, if we just had the funding to do, we could make some great strides forward for our program. We're talking right now with some people about putting our shooting show on a radio network, which would give us, it would be very inexpensive to do, but it would give us the opportunity to talk to many, many more people. And you may see some slight changes, not today, but I'll be talking a little bit more through things. And of course, you know, I'll have an opportunity. I could shoot a lot better on the radios. And my gosh, friends, you see that? It was 300-400 yards away, and I got it first shot. Well, we won't do that. Of course not. But we're looking at ways to expand our audience because, friends, we have got to have more people who understand this message, who understand what's going on. So if you can help us, please send whatever you can, whether it's $5, $500. Nobody has sent $5,000, but let me tell you what, if someone would, and on a larger donation like that, we would talk to you about trying to pay it back. We got on our feet. Sincerely, if someone could, you could send $5,000 or $10,000 and we'd be out of the woods. We'd be home free if we had that amount of money. We just don't have it now. But if you would, please send to the shooting show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road, in Duberly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. Our phone number, area 318-377-5189. If you'd like to talk to Bobby about advertising, you can call me or call Bobby Christie, area 903-693-5097. We desperately need your support. Back to education about these guns. You know what, friends? The upper or elite classes over the century had reason not to educate the common person, because they felt like, just like years ago in Europe, you could be burned to death for reading the Bible at home, because the powers that be did not want you and I, the common people, to have the information to make our lives better so we can make our own decisions. I think this is one of the reasons where we have this ridiculous educational process that we have gotten into, that the union is supporting, NEA, the Goals 2000 thing, where we have, it's admitted by a lot of the colleges that they have inflated their grades so it look better. Well, guess what, friends? We have children out there that are not learning about history, that are not learning about right and wrong, that are not learning about gun ownership in this country and the heritage we have. And you know what? If you don't know something, you're easier manipulated. Think about it. If you don't educate people, years ago, there were people that did not want to educate, didn't want the slaves, the black people in this country when they were slaves, didn't want them to be able to read and write, because they were afraid of that. They were afraid of how those people would react when they found out the truth or had knowledge. Well, you know what, friends? It's going on right now, because that is the elitist goal, is to put all of us, regardless of skin color, all of us, back to a slave, a serf-type existence through the New World Order. Now, that's what they want to do. Are we going to let them? No. We're not. We're going to fight to the last, until we run out of anything to fight with. We are, and we can do it now with the power of knowledge. We can turn it around. It's not over. If you're seeing us on television, it's not over with. The fight's not over with. We can still vote, we can still get on TV and get more people on our side, but we've got to be able to tell them what the truth is so they'll understand what to do. That's all we want to do, friends, is just tell the truth, and tell them the truth about gun ownership, how these things work, how they can be safely handled and operated. Well, friends, that's the battle we're in. If you can help us, please, again, whatever you can do, send to the Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Duberly, Louisiana. That zip code 71024. That's one of the reasons we do things. We sell a pyruvate. We get a little commission on it. Plus, it is absolutely a wonderful product. If you're interested in losing that weight, you can give me a call on my voicemail. That number is area 318-682-4218. We're a couple of days behind on phone calls, but if you would, it's wonderful. If you want to get rid of the weight and you want to feel good while doing it, improve your health, because we need every healthy, patriotic person we can possibly get. And friends, this will help so many of us out there. Certainly helped me. I've lost over 3 inches in my spare tire here. I'm still working on it. Hey, I'm still taking it, yeah, because I want to get rid of all that spare tire. Anyway, we have a great show for you today. Going to look at some favorite guns, certainly of several of us on this project. Going to start today with the 686 Smith & Wesson. This is our 7-shooter, actually. And we have some volunteer watermelons out here. We have some great Georgia Arms 357 Magnum jacketed hollow point bullets, which is probably the single best cartridge for self-defense. 125 grain jacketed hollow point in a 357 Magnum, running about 1,400 feet per second or so out of this gun. Probably the best all-around defensive cartridge that has ever been invented so far. So the great folks at Georgia Arms, the good news is you can buy this relatively inexpensively. So let's see what this Georgia Arms 357 Magnum will do out here on these watermelons out here at our distances. Now, friends are going to be looking at certainly one of the favorite handguns that I have come across, and this is the Dan Wesson 357 Magnum. And honestly, if you take a look at it there in your screen, this was one of the fixed barrel models. Now, as I understand it, they're just going to be offering interchangeable barrels for now. That's my understanding. But I don't have a problem with that because, you know, it's such a great idea. This is one of those things that Dan Wesson, one of the ideas he had you could have the same gun, the same frame, and you could get a variety of barrel lengths, and you could use it to, you could carry it, you could, with a 2.5-inch barrel, you could carry it in a concealment holster. With a 4-inch barrel, you could carry it as a duty gun, and with a 6 or 8-inch barrel, you could hunt with it, or shoot targets with it, or shoot silhouettes with it, which is really a great idea, and I am so pleased about that. And they're not paying us to talk about their guns, not yet anyway. We hope they will at some point. But the reason I'm excited about this, because you know what? The Dan Wesson Company has some great heritage. They were a terrific line of handguns, and a lot of you out there had them. Well, I don't mind telling you, I'd put this gun up, just like our shooting show guns, the ones that are still here. Let me tell you, I put them up, would not shoot them because we couldn't get parts for them, and they were just too valuable at that point to shoot. Well, heck, now we can get parts for them, let's get them out and shoot them, because that's what they were designed for. And for no other reason, I tell you what, we've seen some things coming out of Ruger and out of Smith & Wesson that little quality control problems, friends, and honestly, Smith & Wesson and Ruger have just about had the revolver situation sewed up. And yes, I know there are some Taurus fans out there, and Taurus makes some nice guns, but I'm talking about American-made guns here, and a lot of us, as American shooters, want to go with an American-made gun. Well, let me tell you what, we've done some measuring, and I think that the cylinder on the large frame Dan Wesson is big enough to equal the Taurus. I think it is, it's close, I know. I think it's big enough where they could make an 8-shot 357 Magnum on their large frame. Now, you know what? If you'd like to see the Dan Wesson Company make an 8-shot large frame revolver, heck of a defensive gun, almost no recoil, tremendous defensive gun it would be, similar to the Taurus, but made right here in the United States by Americans with a great heritage behind them. And I think the best concept in revolvers anybody has ever had, I think, is in these guns. You'll notice there, if you notice in the picture, it has Allen screws. I don't know if you can see any of them or not, maybe you could. It has Allen screws rather than regular screw head types, and which is a terrific idea, because that way you can tighten them, snug them. You don't have to worry about messing up the looks of your gun, because that Allen type screw is a lot better deal. Simple thing. They had a lot of really good ideas, and Bob Serva's telling me, he's the new head of the organization, he's telling me that their quality is going to be at least as good as the guns that were made in the old Massachusetts factory. So now they're in Norwich, New York. I don't have the number handy, but we'll see if we can't put it up on the screen here at some point. If you'd like to see an 8-shot Dan Wesson 357 Magnum on their large frame, just call them and tell them. I talked to them about it the other day. They said they're going to look at it, maybe after the first of the year, something like that. I think it's a great idea. If you agree with me, call them and tell them, and we'll give you that number here at some point. And back to Smith & Wesson and Ruger, some good American-made competition wouldn't hurt Smith & Wesson, wouldn't hurt Ruger at all, because both of the other companies do make good guns. We're going to shoot all three of them here today. We have three 357 Magnums. We have the Dan Wesson, we have a Ruger GP100, and we have a Smith & Wesson 686. And you've seen all these guns at different time periods on our program, but let's just see how close they are. Now, what most of us will be concerned about having a medium frame 357 Magnum will be for home defense. Now, that's what, or personal defense. See, I still don't think that any semi-automatic is better than a revolver as a police gun. I flatly don't believe it. Those of us that shoot a good bit and have a lot of experience in the field, we realize, and you may be real proud of your Glock, you may be real proud of your SIG, nothing wrong with that, or your Colt 45, whatever else. Trust me on this one, friends, the revolvers still have a reliability edge. I'm not making it up. You know, over the 7 years we've done this show, about everything that goes bang has been through here, and that has been our experience, even with the best semi-automatics, SIGs, Glocks, Rugers, Smith & Wessons, Colts, even with the best ones. There are some applications that a semi-automatic may be a better gun in. It may be a war application because they're easier. If you drop them in the mud, they're easier to clean. But I have yet to be convinced, as a defensive gun, as a practical, real-world defensive gun, we have not equaled the revolver as of yet. I like semi-automatics. I shoot them, occasionally even carry one. But most of my carry guns are going to be revolvers, simply because out here on the range, the people I've talked to with schools, they're simpler certainly for the new shooter. The revolver has so many advantages for the new shooter as to be no contest. If you're thinking about learning to shoot a gun, please start with a revolver. If you want to move on to a semi-automatic, notice I didn't say move up, I said move on to a semi-automatic. Great, go ahead and do it. But you're going to have to work at it more in learning how the gun functions than with a revolver. It's just, that's the way it is, friends. I don't care. When I find out if there's a rubber band gun that's better than any of these things, I'll be first in line. I don't care. I just want what works.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Give them a call, 1-800-345-6923, a very inexpensive subscription price. Again, 1-800-345-6923. Subscribe today.
Look at some brief times here, and I hope they're brief times for me today anyway. We have our timer, our pro timer from Competition Electronics, and we're going to run a 5-shot group as rapidly. We have 3 targets here. Going to run them as rapidly as I can this afternoon. And since I'm holding the Dan Wesson, let's just start with it. And we'll come up from the low ready position, and we're going to do a comparison as far as combat accuracy, as far as combat times, running 5 shots through our targets at fairly. This would be a representative distance. And we'll be talking about groups later on in the show today on what you could expect. But all 3 of these guns, this Ruger, this Dan Wesson, and this Smith & Wesson, all of these are super accurate handguns. With the right ammunition, all of them will shoot into about an inch, inch and a half for 5 shots at 25 yards. They'll all do it. They're all comparable in accuracy. Well, let's see about the hit factor. Let's see what our rapid fire groups in a defensive scenario looks like. Most defensive situations are going to be under 7 yards. Most of them, a lot of them, are going to be under 7 feet. So we need to be able to get the gun up quickly and accurately and shoot it as rapidly as possible. So let's run a quick time. Start with our Dan Wesson here. 5 shots from the low ready position. See what it looks like. Okay, 1.54 seconds. Dan Wesson first. Let's go with our Ruger second. Same drill. Okay, 1.64 seconds. Let's write that down. And let's take our Smith & Wesson, same drill. Well, 1.8. Why, I don't know. We'll go. I was a little slower with the Smith, and I don't know why. They should be all comparable, but that's what it did today. But let's take a look at our groups and see what it did. Now, friends, I shot the Dan Wesson in 1.54 seconds, 5 shots, 3.8 inches with the Dan Wesson. Again, a really excellent rapid-fire combat type group. Of course, coming up from the low-ready position. The grip angle, I think, again, has something to do with the ease of shooting that these guns have. So just over a second and a half, 3.8 inches, rapid fire, fast as I can run the gun this afternoon. And then, friends, with our GP100 again, which is a gun I like all of them, in fact. But I was 1.64 seconds, 4.5 inch group here, a little slower, a little larger group. So that's with our Ruger GP100. We're all shooting the same Georgia Arms full power 357 Magnum ammunition. Now then, friends, looking at our group shot with our 686, I had one out of the circle, and I'm not sandbagging. I mean, this is just how I'm shooting this afternoon. But we had a 5.7 inch group here, all the way out to there, in 1.8 seconds. I think maybe the longer barrel length coming off the two shorter guns may have slowed me down a little bit there. I was trying to readjust my sight picture, but essentially I was a little slower with a little bit bigger group. The gun's a little heavier, but the Dan Wesson, as far as speed out here today, is the clear winner. Well, friends, again, we hadn't done a definitive test, but we have done a test of maybe a real life type shooting situation. And I really, again, I am so pleased that these fine folks are coming back up with their gun, because I really believe that they offer some features in handling and in shooting that frankly we can't get from anybody else. So I'm so pleased about that. You'll notice our recoil in my hands. We'll do a couple of rapid shots here. See, it just doesn't seem to translate as much recoil. Our Ruger here, again, very fine gun. Nothing wrong with this Ruger, but it seems, even with the rubber grip, it seems like you get more of a recoil sensation. Now, Blue, what you going to do? You're going to go chase a bullet? That's the only thing. I'm out here shooting, and my dog is a retriever of some kind, and I was shooting, he wants to go find the bullets. You know, isn't that amazing? So, for real. Blue, I need to take you to a pet psychologist, maybe, whatever. Anyway, friends, we're so pleased about this Dan Wesson, and yeah, I'm going to start shooting it again, because if it breaks, I can get it fixed. So we wish them all the luck in the world. If you'd like information, we'll put the number up there. Well, let's fix this watermelon that's been here waiting on us here with our 357 Dan Wesson. Gun cam here.
Friends, if you'd like information on Dan Wesson firearms, their entire line, give them a call, area 607-336-1174. And also, if you would like to see them make an 8-shot 357 Magnum on the large frame gun, which I think is a terrific idea, and I think they could do it with the gun they have, well, tell them that too. But we certainly wish these folks all the luck in the world, because they have a superior design, and they're telling us their quality is going to be first rate also. So give them a call if you're interested, and remind them about that 8-shot 357. I think they could do it, so let them know how you feel. Now, friends, here it is. This is the great 1919 Browning converted to semi-automatic from the good people at NWI. This is your chance to own a real piece of history. They're very collectible. They're also a lot of fun to own and shoot, and very reasonably priced, certainly for what you get. The 1919 Browning is from NWI. That phone number, area 503-429-5001. They also have the ammunition special still going on. 30-06 ammunition, only 18 cents a round, surplus in the belt. So give them a call today, NWI, for the great 1919 Browning conversion. Also remember, they have the A6 conversion with the shoulder stock and the bipod. But these are tremendous pieces of history, also great shooters. So give them a call today, the 1919 Browning from NWI, area 503-429-5001.
And friends, want to remind you that they are now manufacturing the 50 caliber version of this same gun, just a lot bigger. And if you can own a semi-automatic rifle, you can own one of these great 1919 Brownings, and also the 50 caliber version. Trust me on this one, friends. This does make the anti-gun people quake in their boots, and I imagine it keeps them up at night. And you can believe these guns will not be available forever. So if I wanted one, whether in 30-06 chambering or one of the other chamberings on the 1919, or if I darn sure wanted a 50 Browning, I would do it today if I could. Absolutely. Give them a call, area 503-429-5001, and please tell them that you saw it here on our program. Now, friends, here it is. This is the terrific Golan semi-automatic alloy frame pistol from Israel Arms International, available in 9mm and 40 caliber. And here we have the Gall in 45 ACP. Those of you familiar with the 1911, well, this is a model of the 1911 with some improvements over the standard issue model. These are terrific guns. A forging, again, from Israel Arms International. And for those Browning high-power fans, here is the Kareen in 9mm. This is a terrific bargain, a gun with a lot of extras from Israel Arms International. And let's take another look at the Golan pistol. Those of you familiar with the Sig Sauer pistols will find this very familiar, but with some important improvements. Israel Arms International, you can call them for a free catalog on all their merchandise, 1-800-599-2561. Again, 1-800-599-2561. Israel Arms International, the manufacturer of the Golan semi-automatic pistol, is proud to announce that Israeli Defense Forces training units in Israel and in the U.S. who specialize in training law enforcement agencies and military units have chosen the Golan pistol as the main double-action handgun for their training. They found the Golan to be reliable and accurate for tactical or self-defense purposes, thanks to the special features you can find only on this Golan pistol. And remember, friends, these guns are all at terrific prices. If any group should know about defensive weaponry, it should be the Israelis. Let's watch one of their instructors in action. And the IDF has found the Golan to be up to the task. And whether for sports shooting, for police or military, or for home defense, these are terrific guns. For information on the entire lineup of Israel Arms International products, give them a call, 1-800-599-2561. Remember, these are very economically priced for the quality you get. 1-800-599-2561, and please tell them that you saw it here on our program.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Now, friends, we're going to feature our good friend Art Alpin, retired Lieutenant Colonel Art Alpin from West Point, now with the great A-Square Company in Bedford, Kentucky, builders of some of the finest heavy rifles in the world. And this is one of our most popular features we've ever had on the show by Art Alpin. It's about machine guns, and let's take a look at it now.
When a cartridge weapon is discharged, a number of forces are generated and a great deal of energy is released. The idea of using these forces or the energy in order to cycle the weapon surfaced in the 1880s. Though many people worked on putting this idea to use, such as McLean, Lewis, and Hotchkiss, I would like to concentrate on two major contributors whose designs made a mark on the course of warfare. These are Hiram Maxim and John Browning. Maxim harnessed the recoil forces generated upon discharge in order to cycle the weapon. By the 1880s, he had some practical designs. Though they worked reasonably well, his automatic weapons became what we understand to be a machine gun only after the introduction of smokeless powder and jacketed bullets. You have seen these developments in a previous tape. By 1893, Maxim was selling perfectly functional machine guns. Among their first recorded uses was action in the Matabele War of that same year. The painting Brave Men depicts the death of Alan Wilson's Shangani Patrol. The patrol was an advance element of Forbes's mobile column. After the Nabili had annihilated Wilson, their 7,000-man army advanced on Forbes, who credited his salvation to the Maxim machine gun. Maxim worked at refining his designs, and by 1908, the Maxim machine gun had been adopted by Germany and was made under license there. The same weapon was adopted and manufactured in England, where it was known as the Vickers. John Moses Browning had been working on another method of cycling an automatic weapon using the very same gases which propelled the projectile. His first workable designs were made by Colt Marlin and used in the Spanish-American War. When the bullet passed a hole or gas port located underneath the barrel, gas escaped and pressed on a lever. The lever rode all the way back and then was pushed forward by a spring, thereby completely cycling the weapon. For obvious reasons, this gun was nicknamed the Potato Digger. As war clouds loomed, Browning quickly branched aside and designed a machine gun using Maxim's short recoil idea, since short recoil was a good bit more compatible with water cooling. Without getting into French or Austrian variations, you can safely assume that every major combatant in World War I entered the war with a machine gun. The capabilities of all of them were quite similar. I will use this Browning 1917 water-cooled as a good example. Most of these weapons fed from a belt. As the belt was pulled through the machine gun by these feed pawls, individual rounds were pulled back out of the belt and then positioned on the bolt so that they would be next in line for chambering and firing. The Browning and the Maxim worked on the short recoil principle. In this method, the barrel, bolt, and barrel extension remain locked together after discharge and travel a short distance to the rear. After the bullet exits the barrel, the bolt then unlocks, sliding independently to the rear. The bolt comes back far enough so that the old cartridge case is extracted and ejected and a new cartridge is placed in position. The bolt then travels forward, chambering the cartridge, and fires again as long as the trigger is held down. The Maxim, Browning, and many others were water-cooled. The barrel was surrounded by a water jacket holding approximately 5 quarts of water. After 600 rounds of continuous fire, the water would be brought to a boil and steam would exit through a steam bleed-over valve down through this hose into a condenser bucket. The second assistant gunner kept refilling the jacket as water would boil away at the rate of 1 quart for every 250 rounds. Though the water did boil away, it was recovered in the condenser bucket. It also stabilized the operating temperature of the weapon and allowed continuous, sustained fire. All of these weapons were extremely accurate and fired their rounds into a very small group, which, in machine gun terminology, is called the beaten zone. As an assist, they were equipped with a micrometer traversing and elevating mechanism so as to enhance their long-range accuracy. They also were chambered for the full-powered rifle cartridges of the nations involved, such as the 30-06 or 8mm Mauser. Let's see what this Browning can do. In its first target run, you'll see a silhouette target on top of a 4x4 fence post and 2 real sly buggers hiding behind a cinder block wall. That's pretty impressive. The Browning fired such a small group that it had no problem cutting down the 4x4 post in short order. Both the wall and the 2 guys hiding behind it took a severe drubbing. This latter target illustrates a point. A wall, unless it is solid masonry, is no real protection against small arms fire from full-powered rifle cartridges. Next, we'll engage a group of targets in the open using the traversing and elevating mechanism and a final assault of targets on line. See if you can spot some advantages and disadvantages of the water-cooled. The advantages of the water-cooled machine gun are quite obvious. It is extremely accurate, can fire at very long ranges, and has a very high sustained volume of fire. In fact, the water-cooled machine gun is unique among machine guns in that its sustained volume of fire is just about the same as its cyclic rate. The Maxim and the Browning both had usable volumes of fire on the order of 500 rounds per minute, and both had combat ranges well in excess of 2,000 yards. The water-cooled machine gun truly was the next best thing to being there. This tremendous capability is not free. For starters, the weapons are expensive to manufacture. You can see all of the very small yet very finely machined parts in this Maxim. Though the Browning was a good bit simpler, both weapons required major industrial investment. The crews for the weapons had to be large and highly trained. Highly trained because of the requirement for maintenance before and during firing, such as headspace, and spring tension adjustments. The crew had to be large because there were many other jobs to be done. Also, the water-cooled machine gun weighed well over 100 pounds, not counting water and ammunition. When broken down, it took at least 3 men to carry it. It also took a long period of time, 3 minutes or so, in order to get the weapon properly placed in position. You should have noted that we had 11 sandbags stacked on the Browning when we fired it. The extra weight of the sandbags helped damp out the vibrations of recoil and was a requirement if one was to take advantage of both the accuracy and the high sustained volume of fire. This does not tell the full story. Someone had to load the cloth belts with ammunition. This required a separate machine, such as this Browning cloth belt loader. The cloth belts had to be saved by one of the crew members. They were washed, dried, and then protected from mildew. They could not be loaded too far in advance, or the cloth would stretch and the cartridges would fall out. The advantage to the cloth belt is that it is much easier on the machine gun and does contribute to the overall reliability. The small beaten zone of the water-cooled machine gun translates to an extremely long adjust sight range. It was the job of the gunner to adjust sights for range and to compensate for wind drift. However, the gunner could normally not properly spot the fall of his rounds. Another individual with binoculars spotted the fall of the rounds. The vertical portions of the reticle on the binoculars that you use today are leftovers from that era. They are based on a logarithmic scale and were used for adjusting the fall of long-range machine gun fire on the ground. For the really long ranges, something over 1,500 or 1,600 yards, plus for indirect machine gun fire, that is, placing bullets down into a trench or into dead space behind a hill, even more equipment was required. Every crew carried a clinometer, which was used for adjusting the elevation of the machine gun in mills as specified in the firing tables. The effect of the water-cooled machine gun is common knowledge. The trench warfare of World War I can be attributed to the water-cooled machine gun along with the bolt-action magazine rifle and the new breed of artillery. Between these three, no man's land really was a place where no man could survive. As the British learned when they marched forward up the Somme, long-range machine gun fire was a force to be reckoned with and could inflict a horrendous number of casualties in a very short period of time. We need not go further into World War I, for you'll study that in much greater detail. When you do, remember what you have just seen about the water-cooled machine gun.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, here it is, the great Georgia Arms ammunition. Notice these ballistic tip nozzler bullets in this Georgia Arms ammunition. You see, this is equivalent to a box of 20 for only $7.95. Now, friends, that is a terrific price for essentially custom-loaded ammunition. Of course, for the plain full metal jacket, it is much less expensive. Here's another tremendous bag of Georgia Arms ammunition, 7mm Remington Magnum, 20 rounds, only $17.95, loaded with these premium Nosler ballistic tips. I tell you, this is custom ammunition at a discount price. Tell you what, friends, the good people at Georgia Arms do understand what's going on in this country. They understand how important our gun rights are, and they're supporting us on this project. The good news is you can get absolutely superior ammunition at discount prices, whether you have a handgun or a rifle. If you want to take that big hunt, you can afford to practice with your rifle as well as use that same ammunition on the hunt because they are so reasonably priced. These are some of the nicest people we have ever met in this business, bar none, and they're down in beautiful Villa Rica, Georgia. So please, friends, if you would, you can get a free catalog with a free phone call. That's as good as the deal gets. A free catalog, free phone call, 1-800-624-6861. Again, Georgia Arms, 1-800-624-6861. And please tell them you saw it here on our shooting show. Well, friends, we hope you're enjoying our program today. We're certainly very, very happy to be here. The judge cannot be with us today because he had some prior commitments. He is doing well. My mother is also recovering very nicely from her surgery, and we hope the judge can be here with us next week. Our editing schedule is very tight. Several things we want to announce to you. First of all, I'd like to say it's a great time to be an American. It's a great time to be informed about what is going on, because you know what? The guns we're showing on the program today, if things continue like they're going, you and I will not have guns to enjoy shooting. We will not have guns to defend our homes with. We won't have them at all because they're going to be taken away. What can we do? We can expand our viewing audience. As I said earlier on the show today, our message is so dangerous to the anti-gun people because we're simply telling the truth. If you want to see us continue on the air, any of you out there who can make a donation, please do. If it's $5, $500, $5,000, wish somebody would, you can help us literally stay on the air and reach more people. We're thinking right now about doing an audio version of our television program and running it on a radio network. And we think this will be very inexpensive, and we think it will help our sponsors. It will help reach more people for what we're doing. It has to be done, friends. If you can help us, please send whatever you can to the Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Dubberly, Louisiana. Of course, our zip code 71024. If you want to talk to us, you can by calling 318-377-5189. Honestly, friends,
we need your help. If we could just get over the hump. And I've been saying this for a while, but all the contributions we've had have all been smaller contributions, or certainly most of them have been smaller contributions. We hadn't had the big one. But if someone could, we certainly and desperately need your help, whatever you can do. There's several things we want to announce on the program today. One, the Soldier of Fortune Convention is coming up on October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It is going to be held at the Sands Convention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, the Sands Hotel is still under construction, and the rooms for the conventioneers, people that want to stay, and sort of the headquarters for the convention will be at the Sahara Hotel. And let me give you that number. It is 1-888 free call 1-888-696-2121. Again, 888-696-2121. They also have a block of rooms at the Super 8 Hotel on Covell Lane, and they're at $40 plus tax per night, and these are rooms with one queen-size bed each. Now, the Soldier Fortune Convention is going to be a little bit different this year. They're still going to have the fantastic display down at the Sands Convention Center, but this year, due to the Bureau of Land Management, they have forbidden the use of pyrotechnic targets. So the machine gun shoot out at the range is not going to be held this year. However, there will be a manufacturer's demonstration. They will still have the 3-gun match. So any information on the convention, let me give you the numbers now. The Soldier Fortune Convention in Las Vegas, October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You can get information by calling area 303-449-3750. Again, area 303-449-3750. It will still be a great opportunity. There will be some terrific seminars. There still will be the manufacturer's demonstration out on the range. The 3-gun match will still be held out on the range. Very exciting events. And plus all the things that will go on down. They're going to have a great auction. The guns, in fact, used in the recent altercation out in California, where the police had to borrow some guns from a gun shop, they're going to be auctioned off. If you want to own one of those guns, you can go out there and buy one of them. So it is a terrific event, again, October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And you can call the number we listed earlier, and you can get more information on the convention. We hope to be there. We've met a lot of our viewers out at the Soldier Fortune Convention. We hope to be there this year. We also want to mention our shooting show support group, Dennis and Jeannie Ritchie with Custom Leatherwork and Saddlery in Denham Springs, Louisiana, for all kinds of custom leatherwork, and I do have that number, yes indeed. Area 504-667-9225. They make harnesses for guide dogs, they repair your saddle, they work on bridles, they do holster work, and plus they're some of the finest people we've ever met. Again, area 504-667-9225. And if you're in the Auburn, Indiana area, we do want to thank McClure Electric and Stowaway Mini Storage there in Auburn, Indiana. We really do appreciate their support for this project. Well, friends, honestly, I keep saying we're going to stay on our fundraiser until one of two things happen. We either stabilize our project or we go off the air. And right now today, I couldn't tell you which ones those are going to be. But please support our sponsors, and please tell them that you saw it here on our shooting show. It is very, very important. We are trying as hard as people can to stay on this project, to keep our programming on the air. If you want to help us, please do whatever you can. Most of us out there listening, most of us watching, will not contribute 10 cents. And we do appreciate you watching, but friends, it is very expensive doing what we do. And if you can help us, please send whatever you can to the shooting show. Again, 327 Irvin Rowland Road, Dubberly, Louisiana. That zip code is 71024. No, I don't like asking for help. But the only reason we're here today is because some of you have helped us. That's why we're here. And you know what, friends? I flatly cannot sit by and let the anti-gun people win this battle. I can't allow the anti-gun people on that outhouse network that took us off the air because we wouldn't back down from telling the truth. I cannot and I will not. We're going to fight on as long as we possibly can. But you know what? We conservatives are conservative everywhere, including our billfolds. And you know what? If we're not willing, just like the Pure Later man says, you can pay me now or pay me later. If we're not willing to make an effort and make some, for most of us, it would be a very small sacrifice. Because trust me on this one, this project has not been a moneymaker. We're trying to stay on the air. If you want to help avert some very troubling times coming, because there's going to be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth when the government people come to your home and say, hey, let us have those firearms, you can't have them anymore. That's what's going to happen, friends. If you want to help us reach more people with our message, please do it today. Don't put it off. Please, we need your help today. Well, we have a very short time left on the program today. We had another feature I was hoping to get to, and we'll close with that. And please remember our radio show on the American Freedom Network on Sundays from noon until 2 o'clock Eastern Time on GE1. Channel 7, 5.8 audio. And please remember our music program on the Worldwide Freedom Network. Now, this is on Saturday afternoon from 4 until 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Again, same bird, G1, Channel 7, but the audio is different. It's 7.56 audio, and we're trying very hard. We hope this is going to make some money for the project, so it is really a neat music program. Please remember our gospel show on Sunday morning, G4, Channel 14, from 10 to 10:30.